Good evening and welcome aboard the Arcadia Bridge. My name is Bane Harlock. With me this evening are
I'm Formal for Seven Tails Productions.
I am Evil Joe from Gamers Galaxy.
My name is Salvador.
And I'm the Grand Inquisitor. Nice
and
to meet y'all.
and tonight we're presenting a very special episode because this is something that happens well all too infrequently in tabletop role playing.
It's like
And
Haley's Comet.
yeah, it really is. A campaign has run to completion, and that is
Woo!
in
Yeah.
this day and age that is practically unheard of. So here's to a successful campaign.
Slanjaba.
Thank you.
Slanchagashe na Vashnera.
My empty cup.
But first thing I want to know is for formal, and that's how long did the campaign run?
The campaign, I think we started it like early December, maybe late November 2022.
Okay, so that's
Wow.
so that's
Shit.
like
It's a little over a year.
that's like 15 months, man. That's I mean 15 months consistently in this day and age in the tabletop role playing space with adults is unheard of. It
That's
really
fucking longer than I
is,
used to.
man.
That's longer than I used to date people. So,
Or longer than people used to date you.
right. Eventually they would sober up or open their eyes or get lenses or corrective surgery on their vision. And they'd be like, oh, we should see other people.
Now that I can see other people.
Now that the sun is out.
All right, so 15 months. Now this was correct me if I'm wrong. A Legend of the Five Rings campaign, correct?
Yeah, this was Legend of the Five Ring 5th edition.
All right. Well, tell us a little bit about the campaign. I mean, what was the overall plot line?
So that's something that I've been thinking about a lot. The way that I tend to construct my stories, I think of it as like a mosaic, where like you put all these pieces together, and then like it really comes out, like it really comes to show like when you take a step back. So after talking it over with Salvador, we just like the themes that really came apparent were was discipline, power, and balance.
And sex.
No.
Oh.
No, it's not about sex. It's about power.
Right.
Okay. All right. All right. So no sex. I'm actually being serious. Was there a
No.
romance aspect? Was there a romance hook?
So I tend not to run romance for it's just not a thing that I'm always comfortable with. If it fits, I
Okay.
will. But
All right.
that's actually something that we discussed. Is like I asked him what his character would do at the end of his life, and we'll get to that, I'm sure. Like how the campaign ended and the choices that he made, and he opted not to have children.
Oh,
Wow.
okay. So tell us about the other three that you did put in there.
The other three people.
The three elements that you just stated that
Oh.
you did put in there, and how did that happen in the campaign? How did that reference out? How did that
Okay.
translate?
So he started out, I've heavily homebrewed my version of L5R, where basically the Crab Clan has been decimated. And like those old lands are uninhabitable because like there was, kind of similar to the Battle of Cresting Wave, if you know the lore, like the Crab Clan kind of fell back from a continuous onslaught, and were pushed back to a point where a lot of sacrifices were made, and essentially the Crab Clan was one of them.
Okay. I'm just going to catch anyone viewing catch them up a little bit in the lore of this game, which is amazing. It's Legend of the Five Rings. It is 5th edition, and it is put out by Fantasy Flight Games. They're an amazing company. I adore this game system. So this is a samurai-styled game. The characters that you can make are human and samurai. You are human samurai. The variance comes from what clan you choose in this vast empire known as Rokugan that is under the imperial system that's very much likened to the period of the Senkoku Jidai in Japan, where it was the time of absolute constant warfare, never-ending war. Clans vie for supremacy under the guidance of the empire. They all are part of the empire, but they all have a different task to perform. They are each named after an animal. There are 7 major clans. And yes, there is magic. The southernmost clan, which are warriors to the hilt, defenders of this thing called the wall to the hilt, are the Crab clan. They are staunch defenders of something they built called the Carpenter Wall, or the Great Caillou Wall. And it's this huge wall fortress, like the Great Wall of China, and its purpose is to stop the onslaught of the massive armies that are constantly attacking from the south in a place called the Shadowlands. These are forces of evil creatures, evil men, demons, goblins, trolls, any type of nightmare you can imagine throws itself against this wall every day. As a result, the Crab Clan does not leave their home. They're too busy defending the wall. So far up north, and this is one of the elements of the game, in the Imperial City, and all throughout the rest of this amazing nation of Rokugan, all of the other clans vie for supremacy. They overlook many of the needs of the Crab. And the Crab really don't have a lot of power in diplomatic court. They just don't. They're looked at as a barbarian tribe, but they're constantly doing their duty. They're constantly defending the wall. So, Formal, from what you're stating, that's it. Their numbers, they were done. Their numbers have been thinned out to the point of extinction.
Yeah, pretty much. So, my player Sal's character, his family was basically one of the last remnants that happened to retake Daylight Castle, and have adopted the motto of "Never Again," stating that that will be the place that they end their days.
Okay.
So he came to me asking for a Shadowlands campaign in the world that I had already established with him.
How many other people were in the group?
This was a solo campaign.
Okay. That is one other thing I did want to ask, and then I'll step back and allow Inquisitor his chance. Absolutely, and I thank you for your patience. How was that a different element? Because I know you have other groups and that they are numerous as well. How did that translate differently running a solo adventure as opposed to...
So running a solo adventure, like it has its own benefits and drawbacks to be sure. Like when you run a campaign with a group, it's typically a lot easier to figure out exactly what direction that they're going to go because they typically have to agree and move as a coordinated unit. When you have a solo campaign, um, things can be different because you lay down the paths, and I like to have multiple paths that he can choose from, but I can never always be sure which one he's going to take, so I have to be pretty flexible. But it also allows the story to progress in different ways at faster rates than it would with a larger group because you only have the one person to focus on.
Okay. Fair. Thank you. My question is answered. I yield the floor. I like Scotch.
As someone who you've DM'd multiple person campaigns, correct?
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
two multiple person campaigns going on right now.
So what are some of the pros and cons versus a multiplayer, multi-person versus a single person campaign?
So, like I said, with a single person campaign, I think that being able to progress the story in the direction of that one player as far as they choose down a particular plot thread is an advantage, and it can be done a lot more quickly than with a group because you're no longer having to divide the time. However, I think that with a multiple group or multiple person campaign, it allows itself for different things because you're allowed a greater sense of unity and general direction that you all are working. You're trying to go in the same way. So I think it's easier to create some narrative plot threads because I guess in a sense the path is wider because it has to accommodate all four of these people.
Mhm.
So I would say that like it doesn't always change as quickly, but you're able to predict where it's going a lot more easily early on, and it's easier. Like if you have kind of an established storyline that you want to go with, it's a lot easier to incorporate it with more people because
Mhm.
I guess there's less things to distract them because it has to distract all of them.
Yeah, yeah. I'll open the floor to Bane.
All right. Well, we've heard a good deal from Formal, but now let's hear from Salvador, because you were the player in the campaign, and
Yes.
your character
Good.
Thank you.
was Issei.
That's the Discord handle for my account.
Okay.
The
Okay.
player character, the character itself was Kuni Ryoshin.
Okay. Well, tell us, because I mean, there's even in what little we've heard from the overarching story, there is a lot to this character. I mean,
So,
especially a decimated clan, and at the end of it choosing not to have children, choosing not to continue the way of the clan. That is a huge decision.
Actually, yeah.
yeah, it is. It
Did they
it
blow off your junk? Is that what happened?
no. No, we cast a regenerate a few times over the campaign,
Okay.
but
Oh, there were a lot of elements.
but what it started as was him basically being the damned Cooney. He was born tainted, so he was already born to be corrupted by the shadows and having his soul claimed by the fallen evil brother Fu Lang, the overlord of Jijoku, the realm of hell in this setting.
Okay.
The but he was also blessed with the ability to speak with the kami, the different elements in the world of manipulation and creating magics and sorts of miracles. So, since he was relegated to basically the Haruma Castle, and there's basically just 300 samurai, that's all the people you got. You already are grown up in a community that's more or less a big family because you have no other choices, and all the duty has to be done and fulfilled by one another. And he's been safeguarded by his parents because they're basically coonies, and they
Mhm.
safeguard the ones that are at risk to fall. And since his mother has every vested interest of making sure her child survives and upholding the difficult duty of putting down her child if he falls to the shadow, she put everything she could to make sure that he was disciplined and not to stray by the temptation of the shadows. Because the shadows tempt you with power, ease, opportunity. That's what they take. They take your soul by giving you some of that convenience. And it was something that he was let's see, I'm getting a little lost where I was going with it, but in essence, as he grew up, he basically realized that he was born to be damned and his name to be forgotten, and so he rather have his name be remembered through his actions because that's the only thing people notice him. Otherwise, he is something to be ignored and disregarded and feared.
I see. What's the worst thing you did?
Worst thing
Yeah.
throughout the entire campaign?
Yeah. Did you do not nice things once in a while?
I mean, I never practiced Maho, but
Okay.
let's see here.
I never actually ate a baby.
I have had some serious like ally number losses at times in our scouting and patrols. We have lost like NPC comrades that were important to him because they were in the same boat as him.
Okay.
Let's see. I'm trying to think. There. Oh yeah, there's the obvious big one. It's the
What
one
obvious
where
big
obvious big one.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
if the obvious big one has something to do with the end, with the end of the campaign, let's leave that out for now, and we'll get there.
it will be more like at the height of part 2.
Okay. So
Okay,
part one.
as long as we're not spoiling the story, because I mean, I really want to hear this tale.
Yeah.
Okay,
I've got so far.
Then I'll go through kind of like a summary by summary throughout the journey.
All right, we're in book 1.
All right, book 1. You're born, you're damned, you grow up, super disciplined, rigid. You're part of the group of the samurai in that small family of 300 called the Damned. It's basically 10 people with some other magical supervisors to make sure no shadow outburst. I go out to do my Genboku. That is known as the rite of passage for samurai to be recognized as a part of their family.
Okay.
And for the Crab Clan, what they're supposed to do is go out into the Shadowlands with your basic gear, equipment. You get basically a little bit of jade the last maybe a week. That's what you get to go out there. You got 1 week to hunt down a lost samurai, defeat him, capture the head, and transport it back successfully. And my character did go out to do that.
Okay.
When during my Genboku, I was in the desert, and it was hot. I found a lost samurai.
Was it a girl or a guy?
I believe it was a guy at the time. Just wandering around aimlessly.
Okay.
And I chose to throw some jade strikes and attack it with flame katana once he got in close. The flame katana was an ability I had that I wouldn't have because of my father, who was a Hikita, a member of the Crane, but he gave up his status and family and everything and chose to marry my mother, who was a Kuni, for the sake of love instead of status quo marriage that is typically done. That is something unusual. Yep.
I have a question. I don't mean to interrupt. So your father was a Kakita, which is of the Crane clan.
Oh, my bad. It was it wasn't the Crane, but it was the magic user of the Crane, not the duelist.
The Daidoji?
Asahina.
Oh, the Asahina. Okay.
Asahina.
So the Asahina is a family in the Crane clan. Their colors are blue and white. The Crane are known for being classy. They are known as the left hand of the emperor. They are culture, class, perfect courtiers, beautiful of look. So he was a handsome guy.
Yes.
Rich guy.
And he dumped the high life.
And he left the high life. Now, let me just really... A Kuni is the clan of the crab that constantly wear thick white makeup, correct?
Correct.
Was she a fighter or more of a magic user?
He was a magic user.
Okay. So basically, he went after a goth girl.
Kinky Coonies, yes.
Hey.
Okay, right. Theory holds true, man.
Yep.
Yeah, no,
Yep.
man. Like I got no,
He
I got
gave it
no,
all up.
I've got
Yep.
no argument there. I have a weakness for goth girls. I mean,
Exactly. He
I've
went
been
after the
I've
goth.
been goth since the early
Uniform,
'90s. So
well done.
So something was calling to him to hell, and he sought out to find it. And he
35
found
points. Okay, so then there's you. You did your Genpuku, which is the trial of adulthood for a samurai. And your goal, your task, 1 week of jade, which the Shadowland is so vile that it can seep into you and corrupt your soul just by walking around in it and breathing the air. But you have jade to
Yep.
protect you against your skin. You had a week, you found a lost samurai, and using magics that you had available called Tomb of Jade for
No.
purification.
Jade strikes.
Jade Strike for purification. It's a spell.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
And
Give me
a
1
flaming
second. I'll be gone visually.
sure,
Okay.
and a flaming enhancement on your katana. You were able to slice and dice and chop this individual up.
Yes, I took his head, and I was not really maimed or attacked at all. And that's where, like, mission accomplished. I could go back, get my credit, and be recognized, or I can start going for some glory.
Okay.
And this character, he did start out very hell bent on glory or death because there's no life either way, as he viewed it at this time. Because you're surrounded by hell, even your family treats you like shit, but you still take care of one another because you have no other choice, because you're surrounded by hell.
Okay.
So he went out to go get some glory, and this is where he went out to go fight a Moto, who did have an undead horse. You can
Okay.
give the
Why
explanation.
don't you explain what a moto is?
A Moto would be from the Unicorn Clan, and I believe those are the expert horse riders who have the unique horses.
Yes.
And those are what were they called?
The
war.
Moto are from a clan called Unicorn. You are correct. They are well known as being the finest horsemen in the Empire. That's their clan. That's their thing. The Moto are the family that doesn't specifically have the finest horses, but the Moto are terrifying because I want you to imagine the Mongols. These are the Moto. Just hundreds of them. And hundreds upon hundreds. And when they come riding down, there's a problem. Now, if it's just one, the actual suggestion is to be very polite and kind, because what you don't want is that Moto writing to his family and saying, there's a problem. Because they'll show up. So you met a Moto, except the horse he was on was undead. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was an undead Moto.
Okay, so that's not good. Please continue.
Yes. So I did the same strategy of striking him down with Jade Strike, and he was coming in around with his Naginata to ride by me and just slice me apart with his Naginata. I had my Flame Katana, but I had it adjusted to a Flame Tetsubo. And we were trading blows. We traded twice. But the second time we trade, the Moto whiffed on his attack roll against me. And I managed to get the hit on him.
Okay.
So we both would have just died there. But fortunately, he missed me. I got it. I'm like, oh, I killed the Moto. Get the head.
Everyone
There's
should be
enough
aware at
proof.
this time. This game has no healing magic. There are no healing potions. There is no healing spell. Throughout all of the spells in this book, none of them heal. The only way to heal is to try to bandage your wounds and go to sleep. And then you heal a certain amount each night. It's brutal. The combat system of this game is designed as follows. Beginner, you're dead in 4 hits. Intermediate, you're dead in 3 hits. Advanced, you're dead in 2 hits. Because the premise of this whole game is that you are samurai in a place where steel is rare, so it's used to make weapons. And that's it. You have the finest weaponsmiths in the world. The armor smiths are artists as well, but they only have bamboo and silk to work with. And you're walking around with a 4-foot razor blade. So I'm going to step back for a minute. Inquisitor, you've been listening to this. So far, he's taken on combat after combat, improving his Genpuku. Did you or Bane have any questions at this time?
Now,
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Bane.
well, I was just going to ask. So the fight with the moto, that was while you were still on your rite of passage.
Yes, that's
Wow.
why that mattered. That's where I got extra glory because I fought a second enemy and a much tougher one.
Aha. Okay. I just wanted to specify that this was still happening, on your rite of passage. So this was
Yeah,
two
I-
lost samurai.
I had him actually undergo his Genpuku. So he started out the game as a rank 0 samurai.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I mean, this really was, this really was the full gamut. I mean,
Yep.
from rank 0 through to the
Damn.
end of the campaign. That's an accomplishment, mate.
That totally is.
It was grasping at victory at the entire journey, and sometimes I had some airtime. It gets pretty nervous.
All right,
Inquisitor,
Inquisitor. Yeah, you had questions.
The fight with the moto sounds pretty exciting. Are there any other moments in that whole campaign that just really stand out for you?
There's a number of them.
Okay. That's a great question. How about
Yeah.
craziest part of book 1?
Craziest part of book 1 was there's 2 big moments. It was I like to consider it like the big bad fight where I ended up having a pretty big battle with 2 enemies, and I had a few allies with me. These people, basically, we were in a void fighting against the 2 shadow evil spirits, the corrupted Hida child son known as Hida Endai, and a mysterious shadow tainted creature that looks like the dragon crab, who is a hero idol of this character, by the way. Because Hiroma Castle was possible to be retaken because that samurai came down from the mountains, brought back the blade of the Oni slicing, and returned it back to the Crab Clan. They used that to take Hiroma Castle when they fell. So that's why that samurai figure is important to this character, and that's why he was he freaked out when he saw that shadowy character there, like the hero, a shadow version of the hero samurai, plus the son of Hida that fell to the shadows that became a giant centipede monster. It was very nasty and vicious, and it was those 2 shadowy creatures. I had a crab samurai Hida, the father, who was killing the shadowy monster, which was his son, for 400 years. And trapped like that. There was me, and there was the spiritual manifestation blade of Chikara fighting as well in this battle. And the way the battle turned out, I'm pretty sure it stumped. Here, can you start to set the stage how it started, Andrew?
Okay, so yeah, a little bit of background is basically Chikara is the Crab clan's ancestral sword, and like it had disappeared for some time, and it turned out it was because like Adamio of the crab had like his only choice to stop the Shadowlands corrupted creature that was his son was to fight him. And Chikara has this ability where like basically it can kind of put you back to in time to a point where you're fully healed. So essentially, father and son fought for 400 years. So what he's talking about in this fight is that he ended up in the realm of void through other means, and the like manifestations that were corrupting the spirit were kind of separated from the crab son, and that's how that fight ensued.
So, Legend of the Five Rings is based on the fact that you have 5 rings: earth, air, water, fire, and void. You may use these rings and improve them throughout your character's life, and they will have effects on your character. What you're saying, Formal, is that in your world, each of those rings is also its own plane of existence.
Uh, in a manner of speaking, specifically the realm of void. That
That's a
one's the
great take.
yeah. That one is like the realm of void is the thing that binds the other rings together, so it has its own properties in a way.
Like
It's
glue.
yeah, it's a lot more ephemeral. I think the
It's like
description
the
I read of
Force.
it, though. Yeah, the description I read of it is like, if the human body's 70% water, void would be the water of the 5 rings.
No,
The
there's already
seventy
water.
percent of it. The 70% of it though.
Well, no. Well, then what's the water?
Well, it's talking about like a ratio between
Yeah.
the material and the void itself.
Oh,
Right.
Material's
So
30%.
the water is the important part in your body that you don't really take notice of because it's covered up by everything else.
okay. Understood. So the void, and that's where you met these opponents were in the void realm. All right, cool.
Yes.
What was
And,
the other?
The other one happened soon after. This was when we went to Friendly Traveler Village.
Aw. Okay.
And that's where the Yuzuki clan reside there still at that time. And they were being basically extorted by a pirate tyrant, in essence. It was its own Shadowlands creature monster as well. He had a man of war ship. He had 2 ships,
We
actually.
had a Gaijin ship.
He had a Gaijin ship.
Would you like to
And
reference Gaijin real quick, Formal, for the explanation?
So Gaijin is the generic term applied to anyone who's not from Rokugan. Is a quick summary. It ranges from all sorts of things, all sorts of peoples, but anyone who's not part of the Rokugani Empire is referred to as Gaijin by the Rokugani Empire.
Yeah, Gaijin. I mean, it essentially, for all intents and purposes, in this context, translates to outsider.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. And I'm back. So that was the other large element of book 1 was this battle with the pirate lord.
that was basically the ending of book 1 is fighting against that pirate lord, because what essentially happened is that when he came by to collect his next collection price of humans limbs.
Limbs?
Yes, he collected limbs explicitly because this pirate captain,
kind of thing.
this pirate captain basically had the ability to attach and detach limbs to himself, and he used all those limbs as massive leverage in fights. So he was very formidable, nasty pirate captain.
For everyone looking right now, this is my look to formal. What the hell, man? That's pretty fucked up.
There's a reason I don't always prefer to remember my dreams.
You can see you writing your adventures. Yes, my 1-year-old is walking by. Come to me, my precious child. I mean, come on, man.
No, he's the vessel of pure innocence. It's me who's the evil one.
Right? I do it all for you. All for you, Damien. All for you.
For me, on that fight, the most impactful part of it was, as I said, it was a man of war. It was a ship that had access to gunpowder. And there was a moment where at that time he was the damned Cooney, was not familiar with what is known as Gaijin pepper. So he put a fire elemental on the ship to go wreak havoc, and boy, did it.
Okay.
Because I basically used a different technique to shift the pirate captain away from his crew and surround him by my guys who are beefed up and ready to pulverize him the entire time. And I sent my fire elemental on his ship to wreak havoc on his crew, but I did not know what Gaijin pepper was.
Okay.
Oh, the powder hold blew,
words,
didn't it?
Yep. The final words of Book 1 are, doesn't Gaijin pepper explode?
Yep, the powder hold blew. Oh, that's ugly.
Inquisitor, you've been listening to this for a bit. Firstly, let me just ask you from someone who's been kind enough to join us. Have you ever played this game system before?
Negative.
Okay.
I'm completely unfamiliar with this game system, but like I enjoy hearing about it because now I'm like thinking of stuff to do.
This is, and you are clearly you're an accomplished storyteller as well. This is an extremely rich lore.
Yeah.
It's 5th edition. This has been in existence for an extremely long time. And what they've done is they've kept the original lore and constantly added each edition, each series, each set. And when I say they've added, I mean they have taken care to cover a different timeline and move it farther forward, so that you can choose whatever time period you wish. And it states that. But also, when I talk about the richness of the lore, they have a full regalia listing of legendary non-player characters for each time. There's the major events for each timeline. And so when it gives you a great deal of information to draw on once you do have to get to reading a lot of it, but it's very rewarding to do so because it's so well done. And again, if you're interested, my answer is always do it. Game it, run it, buy it, try it.
Well, I enjoy writing Dark Souls-like campaigns, and this is giving off massive Sekiro vibes.
This is
now I want to build a Sekiro campaign.
Yeah, well, and that it is modeled after a lot of that, if you will. Like a lot of when I run it, and I'm being honest, there's a difference between the Japanese and Chinese and Korean, everything all of these cultures that are blended together into this world of Rokugan. Their core tier system is so much more advanced than a European medieval. There are ways to smile and say very beautiful complimentary words and have them be understood to be the most scathing of insults. And that's excuse me, that's where a lot of this comes from. It will end up becoming role play heavy because the characters have to make decisions. Yes, yeah. You're a samurai. You're supposed to be noble and upright. And, well, here's your choice. This horrible thing is going to happen. And if you expose it and stop it, these really wonderful people are going to be exposed and destroyed.
Mhm.
And you have to watch them hang. Or you can take this little angry, hateful, little evil villain, do away with him, and throw him on the altar, and this horrible evil thing will go back to sleep for another 100 years.
Mhm.
Are you going to compromise your beliefs? What are you willing to pay? Because that's an actual choice in campaigns that I've done.
Mhm.
And there's a reason I run a campaign, and I do. It's called Legend of the Five Rings, but the story of my campaign is literally called The Bitter Road. Because, man, it's choice time for them. We'll get to all of that later. This is a celebratory night, and this is for Formal, and this is for Sal. So we just finished talking about book one. Did you guys take a break between books? Or was it straight up just see you next session?
It was definitely see you next session.
What?
All right. Now,
Like I
I
said,
actually
like-
want to ask a question here. But, before we go into book two, Formal, I'd like you to actually take us sort of behind the scenes of book one.
Can you clarify what you mean by behind the scene?
I mean, well, partly what I'm asking is about the creative process, about the story beats that you built for book one. But at the same time, was there anything that was undiscovered in book one? The path not taken, more or less.
Was there? Yeah, I agree with Bane. Was there something you planted that you're like, I can't wait till he finds this by
And the
opening
seed
this
just
box
never
in
came to
the
fruition?
bookshelf? And Sal was just like, fuck that bookshelf. I'll go home.
Yeah, there were a lot of things. So one of the big things that happened in the change from book one to book two is at the beginning of book two, he goes he blows up Friendly Tribal Village on accident as the powder
Wait,
hole blows.
I'm sorry. What?
So we talked about the fire elemental on the Man of War, right? And the powder hole that blew up the village.
It was a big
Oh,
explosion.
oh God.
Yes, but
All this was happening.
this is getting into book two. I want to
Right.
save that story beat for the transition to book
Right.
two.
So all I was trying to say is he all the plot lines that I had in book one, they didn't follow into book two except for maybe a couple.
Okay.
So one of the things I did want to touch on is after that battle in the Void Realm that he successfully navigated, he was no longer tainted. That was a special thing. So he became a samurai eligible for family after that.
You can live again.
Yes. So that's part of why he gets in the book two. But anyway, in book one, yeah, there were a lot of things. I had this whole clan war between those who resided in Daylight Castle. They resided alongside the Rat Folk, the Nezumi, in this partnership. And there were some on the Nezumi side who did not take kindly to it. So there was a clan war that was brewing up that by the time that he had had that encounter in the Void Realm, he essentially not fully completed and was left to his own devices. So that's definitely one. There were a couple of other things. There was a major antagonist that he had broached that was strongly inspired by the Flood from the Halo series.
What?
Yes. That he had also not completed. So yes, there were things that were abandoned.
Big things.
Okay.
They were big things.
All right, now
Were those encounters just sitting looking at their phones like, I mean, he said he'd call.
Pretty much, because he was always like, "Well, I'll just go back when I can." and he just never did.
Yeah.
All right, so
Just
Just
this.
constantly texting your samurai, "What up? You awake?" Samurai texting back,
Damn
"New phone, who
samurai
dis?"
All right, so now I'd like to say he blew up a what?
Mm.
All right. So, yeah. So the ship that was pestering friendly traveler village was a Portuguese man of war. As I said, it had gunpowder. So
Okay.
when it came to dock
Mhm.
to get its collection of flesh,
Boom.
its
Doc. Got
sacrifices,
it.
yeah, that was maybe 100 feet from the famous sake house that kept friendly traveler village
Oh.
alive. So when he blew up the most important structure in the village,
Da da
and
da
a
da
lot
da
of the
da.
populace,
Boom.
and I had to do a lot of math to see if he would survive. He's like, is this a thing that might, is the campaign done here? No, okay, we'll move on.
Oh, how many?
How many died? Half of them. I want to say
So
is probably
give me
250.
a number there, Game
It's
Master.
a small, it was a small village at the outskirts of town, or at the outskirts of Ryokugan. It was barely self-sustaining. So about 250 people died.
Dude.
But how many Shadowlands bad guys?
Sal.
Well, all of them except for
Yeah, but
Frankenstein.
no. Again, Game Master, we need numbers.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're
I wanna
trying
say-
to
I
score
wanna
the
say
game
there were
here.
there were. I think there. It was a while ago. I think there were 80 Shadowlands creatures, and
Oh no. It was 800 Shadowlands creatures
okay.
in the two boats, and now
Oh,
you're
okay.
adding another 200 or so bodies of innocent lives. So
Okay.
I
I
did.
guess the balance fixed out. In my defense, that was about a year ago.
Okay, so
That's true.
basically the innocents to villains, it's 4-1. It's 4-1 in favor of
Yeah.
innocence. All right.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
I want to start
Exactly.
playing Fortunate Son from
Exactly.
Credence.
And the distillery, the one of a kind distillery,
Oh my
a very
God.
important alcohol product manufacturing disappeared. That was
Yeah,
very
there were
painful.
there were a
Love to
lot
smell the
of
burning
people.
sake in the morning. Smells like victory.
The Irishman in me wishes to say this: you are a monster, sir. A
You are
monster.
a monster.
How dare you?
How dare you? How dare you?
There were definitely a lot of people who in Otosan Uchi that were like, "Hey, the whiskey's gone. I'm gonna kill the guy who destroyed the distillery." And he's like,
Whoops.
That's something I was scared of as a
"It's like
player.
I'm going that way."
Just this giant apocalyptic fallout nuclear bomb explosion. And then amidst the rubble, there's just Sal. Just looking around going, well, time to hit the old dusty
Dusty trail.
He
trail.
lost an arm.
Yeah, I did lose an arm.
You lost an arm?
I did lose an arm in game. That did change a lot of dynamics.
That's the shit I'm talking about.
I-
So, left or right?
It was my right arm.
Are you righty or lefty?
I'm lefty.
Your character was lefty, so he lost his odd arm, his off arm.
Right, but
That's
still.
crazy. That's still crazy. Did you lose it to the elbow or to the shoulder?
Basically, like, it was so mangled here, they just cut it off back to the shoulder.
That's nuts, dude. And there's no healing, so that's it.
Yeah, that's permanent.
Yeah, I am missing a claw.
Okay. So now we're at the
did they
beginning
start
of
to call
book
you
2.
the one-clawed crab?
So yeah, you basically woke up for book 2. You basically woke up in the bed, in the hospital bed.
Pretty much. And he got the moniker the Wildfire Cooney.
The what?
The wildfire crab.
The Wildfire Crab. Wildfire Cooney.
Makes sense.
Yep.
Okay.
I mean,
What was?
I just have to say this. I'm having shades of Game of Thrones there.
Yeah, man.
like the
Okay.
wildfire and the Battle of the Blackwater, man. Like that's I'm getting like seriously mangled. Like yeah, dude, he's Tyrion Lannister only taller.
Just coming out of it like, well, that sucks. What? I'm sorry, Inquisitor. What do you got?
You can go ahead. You can go ahead.
So my question primarily at that point was, what plot line for you, Sal, were you following to motivate you to as you began book 2? What had carried over? You had just defeated this other. Basically, it was a pirate, but it turned out to be an Oni, a demon creature. So you had defeated that horrifically. Great personal cost, great loss of life, massive destruction. But was there what was the next step for you? What motivated? Did you have a set motivation, or did you just kind of wander around till you saw something?
So what I did back then was, well, I can either continue with Daylight Castle, or now that I'm cured from the Shadowlands taint, I can actually interact with Rokugan Society.
Mhm.
So I chose to go to the capital of Rokugan and see about basically rattling support from the clans to start some sort of initiative on retaking what is lost of the Empire. Because there's a giant jade storm that floats around destroying everything to keep it a wasteland so no Shadowlands creatures get by to the rest of the Empire. And all that land was land that the clans used to live on. Like take a nation, map of your nation, and cut half of it off because it's covered with one big storm going by it like a lawnmower. Like yeah, you deal with very few demon creatures from hell, but you're missing half your home.
Okay.
So it's basically the Cicatrix Maledictum from Warhammer 40,000.
I'm not familiar with that, so I can't
Not
say.
explain.
The Cicatrix Maledictum, Warhammer 40,000, Games Workshop. I'm a huge Games Workshop guy, so. But in the basically, there used to be this rift in space in the galaxy, called the Eye of Terror, and basically it was the portal to the warp, which is where demons come from. It's the Empyrean. It's basically the collective emotional memory of the galaxy. But at one point, a world called Cadia, which was this fortress world on the edge of the Eye of Terror, was destroyed, and it set off a chain reaction that allowed the Eye of Terror to basically expand into a rift that cut the galaxy in half.
Okay. That's bad.
Yes, it's very
That is
bad.
That's extremely bad.
So tape or
Tape? No.
Well,
It's
I said wood glue.
I was gonna say we might need some spackle.
wood putty?
Universal solvent or universal glue.
Yeah, this is
So-
definitely gonna take some spackle, maybe some caulking, some drywall
So
tape.
Yes, dark
this-
matter chalk.
So translated to Rokugan, this is the shadow that can encroach onto Rokugan, and so what they've instituted are jade storms that rain down jade itself
Yep.
and remove the taint from the land as much as it can and stop it, but it doesn't. It arrests it. It stops the spread, but it does not cure or cleanse. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'd say that's fairly accurate. And for everything else in that area, it's glass shards falling from the sky. Nothing
Okay.
grows.
Okay. All right. Pray continue to the journey to the imperial capital.
Yeah, let's go to Salvador on this, and yeah, take us through the beginnings of book 2.
So the beginnings of book 2 is basically where we start the journey in the capital. It's me, the two crab samurai that I rescued, the father and son, Hida Endo and Hida Endai. And it basically just 3 crabs. We stick out like a sore thumb, and people haven't seen a samurai of the crab in like 100 years because of the fall of the clan. And since we're so isolated from the clan and Haruma Castle, there's very few travel between the two.
So it's like being a goth kid in 1991.
Yep. Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes, but you're the
Hashtag, baby.
1950s golf parents, and it's the 1990s, and you were dead for a few decades in essence. So
Yeah.
it's like, what are you guys doing here? And so yeah, it was pretty rough. It started out because even though you are samurai in your own in Rokugan, you are still having to be up to certain social etiquette, and that was something that my character had to figure out how to quickly adapt to, because now he needs to specialize to courtiering and interacting with the bureaucracy to start moving the gears of the system.
And you have been so isolated as as one who is tainted. Wow, that's a lot to overcome.
Dude.
And
That
all
is
of
a
my
hell of a lot
social
to overcome.
and remember, all of the social dynamics had very thin layers between the social hierarchy of the governments and the family community aspect, because there was only 300 of us.
How
You
bad
are
did you bomb
effectively
socially?
there. Oh, there was a funny moment of social awkwardness with Amiramoto. Basically, I tried to introduce my name, and I had to roll a courtesy check to introduce myself properly. I failed it, and I basically said, "My name's Kuni Ryoshin."
Oh.
All right, I'm going to absolutely date myself with this reference, and I think Joe is the only one who will get it. Would you please pass the jelly?
Yep.
Yeah, no, that's not. I mean, I watched enough Family Guy to recognize that. Yeah, I would say that's not inaccurate.
And I can't recall what I come up with, because that was still around a year ago of when those actions happened. I'm trying to recall what I said. I did something else to make it ease the awkwardness with that samurai, but it was pretty awkward at the time. And I'm over here. Also, I'm basically what was it that we called it? A redneck sheriff from the middle of nowhere, where outpost that we thought was gone, but apparently there's still people there. You showed up out of town out of nowhere. Whiskey's gone, by the way, and
Wow.
and you're spouting.
Yes.
Basically, I'm
Yes, it
spouting to
is.
people about. I'm spouting out to these other samurai about this glass katana I have, which is an old-fashioned katana. It's the generation before, but I don't recall what's its name off
I
the top
have
of my
this
head.
here musket.
Yes, there's a couple of elements from book 1 that we didn't address yet. That
So-
will come up in book 2.
That's the other part I love about this game is the courtier system and the roleplay system. So you walked straight into the lion's den.
Yep.
Because everyone had practiced different courtier skills, what colors to wear, how to wear your swords, how to wear your hair dependent upon the season, the day of the week, what holiday, whatever. Guys, this can get really advanced. And in comes Gomer Pyle saying, "Golly, y'all got some fancy buildings here." And
It's
and
a
yeah,
Connecticut
he's gonna
Yankee
get
in
that
King Arthur's
reaction.
court, man.
Yeah. Was that so? This question, if I may, is for Andrew. How hard was that to prepare? Or did you prepare for the cultural difference and the backlash on this? Did you do it beyond humor, or did you do it to cause some pressure and anxiety on his part?
So I absolutely wanted to cause some pressure and anxiety, and I did prepare quite a bit. I had, given his station, he was, he's just a samurai as far as everything's concerned. So I worked very hard on kind of creating a part of the court system that he would be able to integrate with. And I spent some time where like I wanted to have about half a dozen people who had their own like goals and flaws and would kind of counterbalance each other so that like
Okay.
he could kind of play them off of each other if successful to get to the goals that he wanted.
Okay. Bane, did you have anything further on that one?
No. I'm actually at this point. I am incredibly riveted to see where this is going.
Okay.
Same.
Inquisitor, did you have anything further on that one?
No.
No? Very well. The three judges approve. You may proceed.
So I do have a question. I do have a question that I want to touch back up on. Not many players experience a permanent limb loss.
Yeah, that's
No.
dude, guys.
So-
He lost his arm. Like
Yeah.
in a trilogy, it's like Luke losing his arm just before the end of Star Wars. Not his hand, his arm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's no
how
back to
did-
tanks and cybernetics. Like
No.
this is
Yeah, no.
like it's
They're
gone.
like, we're gonna seal this up
How-
real good. All right, you're all set.
Yeah, I mean,
How did your character deal with the arm loss when I'm assuming the main weapons were primarily two-handed?
So
Good question.
he can still get by with just one arm in terms like for some things you can still have a katana single-handed. The way he does the religious rites and magic stuff, the one arm it's able to be compensated and mitigated through in-game extra flavor role playing. Like I have extra components of the element of the kami I want to talk to, so I have some extra dirt I throw out when I use an earth spell, for example. That ways to mitigate it that way.
all right. Now, I would
But
like
missing
to
the arm.
at
go
some
ahead.
point just touch on Inquisitor's point. Now, for those unfamiliar with the term Legend of Five Rings, this comes from Musashi, Miyamoto Musashi, who wrote the Book of Five Rings. And one of the key tenets of the Book of Five Rings is to always fight with a sword in each hand, because the katana can be wielded single-handed or two-handed. It is a versatile. In Dungeons and Dragons terms, it's a versatile weapon.
Mm-hmm.
He just on a note, Musashi was the one that developed that style.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And he did write what to do if you lost an arm in the book. It's a very short chapter. It just says punt. So,
All right, please, Salvador, continue.
Yeah. Let's see here. So I started out by setting up shop at the Phoenix Temple because a very important character I had interacted with at Daylight Castle was a Phoenix who was there to observe.
okay.
And I was able to mention his name and able to get some not refuge, but like I'm allowed to stay at the temple of the Phoenix during my time at the capital.
Well, that was nice of
And-
him.
Yes, and at the capital, the Winter Court is 6 months away in game. So what I could do is start to do negotiations with other key players in the courtiers in the capital to see about having the Ryotion clan to be brought up, and to start an initiative to regrow the empire, take back all the land that was lost through policy initiative.
Wait,
Yes. So that was a plot point that didn't get mentioned in book one.
wait. Let me get this straight. So there's 7 major clans. The Crab are one of them. We've talked about the Crane, where your dad came from.
Yep.
Before he met the goth girl at a club. And that's cool. We've talked about the Phoenix, who are like, hey, you can crash at our castle. It's good.
We've talked about the Unicorn.
The Unicorn, who were the horse people. Let me get this straight. You said you just asked the court to create the Ryotion clan. So you asked an ancient imperial court and said, hey, just brainstorming here. Hear me out.
Well,
How about you create a clan for this guy? Like, I create my own clan. I am the founder of my own clan. What do you say? Yeah. Is that really like seriously? That's what
I was really confident with the sword.
Dude, you just walked into like the north. Like you just left home.
Yes.
Yeah.
So basically
I get to live
left
again.
Missouri.
Yeah.
You went to Apple headquarters in New York and said, this is a really nice building you guys got. Hey, why don't you make me in charge of another Apple company? I got ideas. That's literally what you just did.
Yes. Because
And how did that work?
Yeah, how did it go with your eye hemi there, Cletus?
So I started with I had a deal with the dragon. I had a small and a big deal. A small deal was that I give them a scroll of a powerful spell that I could do. I gave them a scroll, and it was to get me some jade dust, which was necessary for me because I had a Shugenja tool called a Shikigami or Shika, something of that sort. Basically, it's a little origami, typically, that you could put some of your magic spells in.
Shikigami, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I went big, and I took enough jade from Daylight Castle to make a humanoid statue of it, of solid jade, and animated the life with the Shikigami ritual. And I put a bunch of spells in there.
You created a golem of jade.
Yes, I have a golem of jade.
Accurate.
Yeah. He had some very awesome spells. He can summon elemental friends too if he needs help.
Okay.
The Kuni always delegated power to someone else in a pinch to get things done. So walking up the bigger things like this.
So what you're saying is you drove into town in a feat of redneck engineering.
Yeah.
Yes. They know the engineering. They're just astonished on its effectiveness.
Well, it shouldn't work, but somehow it do.
This puppy runs on vegetable oil.
Runs on vegetable oil and moonshine.
Vegetable and moonshine. So, beyond the Dukes of Hazzard playing in my head when I imagine your character walking down the street, and he literally said, "You should give me a clan." Again, how did they respond? Did they laugh you out of the court?
It's not like straight up like that. Basically, it's like, hey, I want to start an initiative on the Ryoshi clan. I got these set of policies to give with you, and so
you just said I'm starting the clan.
Well,
help me out here, Formal. What the hell's going on?
Okay. So, like I said, to cover up a couple of things, there's 3 important things that we didn't cover in book 1 that I wanted to mention now. One is the multiple realms that exist in the celestial orders. He experimented with traveling in the realm of dreams and did dream walking. 2, he, through a mishap, ended up in the realm of Maido and met with the Kami Ryoshin, who guards the borders of Maido and Jigoku from the other side.
Uh,
So that's why there's a reason why he's saying all this. 3, he met a dragon, a ghost of a dragon, when he was checking out the Kuni's, like the old Kuni library. And that will come up again.
okay. I have clarity now. So it wasn't like the Dukes of Hazzard. It's more like the White Stripes as you're walking into town. Okay, cool. I'm there with you. That's way more badass. I understand now. You have met a living god known as Ryoshin, and you are intent on giving him recognition finally. I get it. I'm there.
Yes, that is.
Okay. I thought you were, because your name is Ryoshin. And I was like, I guess he just wants it after his first name.
So there's something like I was talking to him earlier today as we were discussing this podcast. I said sometimes it's interesting to let coincidence drive some plot threads, because I had been researching Ryoshin and was curious on a way to implement them. When he rolls up on session 0, says, "My name's Kuni Ryoshin," I went, "Well, all right."
Well, all right. Okay.
Awake a dink.
Okay, so now I'm caught up. I apologize. See, when I'm wrong, I apologize. It's okay.
No, I was under the same assumption, but then again, I am also not familiar with this setting. So I was like, wait, he's like, yeah, we should call it Joe Dirt because I'm so badass. Like
Joe Dirt, man.
I'm basically a person who really resonates with that Kami in the sense of our names were written down to be forgotten, and I don't think that's how it should be.
Okay.
And that's what he walked with from there on.
Okay. So, to give backstory to that, in the very, very beginning of this lore, it's based upon the fact that, like Hercules, Lord Moon, evil, chases down Lady Sun, good, and begets children upon her. Lord Moon is told his children will overpower him by far. So Lord Moon demands of Lady Sun that she surrender all of her children to him so he may eat them. He attacks and he devours almost all of his infant children. She tricks Lord Moon and wraps a stone in swaddling cloth like Zeus. Feeds Lord Moon the stone. He gulps it down. I've eaten all my children. Everything's great. The one child that was separated was named Hante. He grows up. He is educated and trained by 2 celestial dragons. They give him a celestial blade. He cuts open Lord Moon's belly. All of his brothers and sisters, the Kami, living gods, fall from the stars and land on Earth, creating Rokugan. There is one brother, Ryoshin, and in the histories, it always says he was already gone. So this has already been interpreted as Ryoshin was already dead. What they're stating in the story is that they have found the Kami Ryoshin, the living god. He's in another realm. And he protects the physical realm from the elements of chaos and Jigoku, 2 other realms. He's always doing battle to protect them. So this is where one-armed Sal decided, since that was also randomly his personal name, he will revive this as a clan. And that's why he asked I wish to establish the Ryoshin clan.
Yes.
So I hope that it helps. I am brought up to speed. I hope everyone listening is brought up to speed. I hope Inquisitor, you're good, and I hope Bane, you're
Yep.
good. Are you good?
I do have one question here, and
Sure.
this is to Sal. You know, the motivation. I mean, you know, knowing now what we know of Ryoshin in the story. What was the purpose of establishing a Ryoshin clan? Was this to protect the wall? Was this to protect to protect from the Shadowlands?
Or was
So
this for you?
this was the creation of the Ryoshin clan was with the intended purpose to give Rokugan the tools to create their golden era once more. He never got to see the golden era of Rokugan at its greatest. It was already fallen. And he sees that we distract ourselves too much. Well, if I can get enough people focused, we can create what we need for the Empire.
So you're looking to recreate Camelot. Okay. That's a hefty goal, man.
That is a very lofty
hefty
goal. And now, as as somebody who, I respect the hell out of that, out of that kind of drive. I mean, that's ballsy, man.
So, Inquisitor, how do you feel about that? To try to recreate Camelot in a golden age?
Very ballsy.
I
And I dig it.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I respect the hell out of an idealist, and that's what I'm getting here. Is like is that Kami Ryoshin is full on idealist, and I love it.
That's crazy. I love it. I fucking love it.
I am
because
that's
only going to end one of three ways.
As the
you're
kids,
gonna burn.
As the kids are fond of saying, dude, I am here for it.
Yeah, you're going to burn, and they're going to be like, that dude's nuts. Or you're going to Don Quixote it, and they'll be like, he was nuts, but what a beautiful image.
It was all three.
Or you're going to succeed. That's crazy. Oh, dude, that is crazy.
Oh.
Lofty goals and lofty dreams, and I love it.
Hell yeah.
This is fantastic drama right here that you guys were creating.
This is good shit, man.
I am actually disappointed that we did not get the chance to stream this story.
To be fair, a good amount of the time it's just me like.
There were some large swaths of time where he was really in man pose.
Yeah, I believe it.
Well, I mean, that's
the major
best
element of. Go ahead.
That is one of the best times in TTRPGs though, is where the problem before you is I can't punch my way out of this.
No.
And when you've been playing a murder hobo the entire campaign, you're like, well, how the fuck do I deal with this?
Yes. Yes.
Sorry to interrupt. Real quick, off the cuff, pants check. Who's wearing pants?
Me?
Checked.
So 2 out of 5, 6, 2 out of 6, because the baby's not wearing pants. All right, baby.
Yeah.
Way to get in on it.
No comment.
I'm wearing jeans.
That's all right.
From home.
It's all right.
You only need to be presentable from those waist.
You are. I am wearing a lovely button-up shirt. Scotch.
We are right.
Waist up only.
We are right back to Zoom meetings for work in 2020. We are keeping the spirit of 2020 alive.
That's right. All right. So let's continue.
Yeah. So you walk in here. You asked to make a clan. What was the fallout of that?
So
Fuck yeah.
I have to go to negotiations with different clans because they're all different branches of the government in essence. So I started with the dragons. The getting them to give support for the Ryoshin clan politically, they were willing to under the pretenses that I give them exclusive Jade production rights of Daylight Castle to the Dragon Clan exclusively. That's the difficult part. How do I take a statue of solid jade from the middle of hell and take it up to the goddamn northern mountains of the Empire to the Dragon Clan?
Hey, Bob, you belong to them now.
Okay.
So that was a very...
Now I'm going to interrupt again because we need to get the background on the Dragon Clan, because this is now another clan that we're encountering.
Well, so to summarize them mostly is that they tend to be the ones that meditate the most. They like they tend to be the wise because they got the monk Tutagashi order. They tend to stay up in their mountains. They don't do things all that political. They tend to be hands off, except for one of the family, the Miyamoto. They are the ones that tend to do most of the politics, and those are the ones with the dual wielding katana fighting style.
They're terrifying.
Absolutely.
Their step up as they advance is they get more attacks, and in the last episode, in the last
rank
edition, their critical hit numbers kept going down. So they were walking, flurrying, Ginsu, terror, nightmare. They would attack like 4, 5, 6 times in a round. In a duel, and it's a skill, they're one of the only clans that knows how to directly use their wakizashi, which is a short blade katana, as a throwing weapon.
All right, that's horrifying.
And that's a fast action for them.
As the great nephew of a blacksmith, that is horrifying.
So they can throw the weapon of the katana. They have another fast action, or they can draw both blades and then take 6 attacks.
I can see why water was maxed for that build.
It was not okay for a lot of people. Each clan has a separate ability set, and the Miyamoto are terrifying. The phrase is, you will never see a Miyamoto take actions that are unnecessary or unintended. If you see a Miyamoto advancing, run.
Okay,
Get out of the way.
So very, very true to the sort of the Eastern philosophy of kung fu. Whereas the tiger is reactionary.
Yep.
Everything the dragon does is intentional.
Correct.
Okay.
They do not commit easily, but when they commit, it's done. There is no reactionary action at all. It is all intended. So they are a terrifying clan. They are also a very meditative clan. They are secluded. They live up in the mountains. They're very philosophical. When they do commit to a cause, be it a legal argument or what have you, you know that they have meditated and quietly spoken about it thoroughly and completely. There is no dissension among their ranks.
So very much like the Golden Shaolin Temple.
Yes. I apologize. I just wanted to clarify the Dragon Clan.
Yeah,
go right ahead.
This gives our listeners context as to what you're dealing with as obstacles. So whenever
death machines.
Yes, but whenever a new clan is mentioned, I wanna stop and get some background so our listeners actually understand the character of the clan.
Yeah. Yeah.
So please, Sal, go on.
So with the Dragon Clan, I got the agreement from them, but they want a lot of jade, and there is an easy way to make it, at least my character, but you need a native creature from hell for me to hit with Tomb of Jade, and that's very difficult to do. Still, it's still a
That's
difficult
not
technique. I
okay.
was a very nerfed character for a long time, actually, because when I met the Kami Ryoshin, I gave him like 4 of my rings, Joe. I'm trying to think of how to convert that to D&D
That's
stats.
horrible. Bring me a bad guy. I'm a bad guy. Did you steal this? Yes, you're bad. Too much it.
They did have. They
Dies.
did have to be. They did have to
Punches
have
into his
like
chest.
the evil
Pulls
code.
out a jade heart. Here you go. Dude, that's his heart. No. It's jade. It's all better now.
It used to be. It's
No!
not anymore.
It's all better now.
No,
It's
it's
good.
purified, clean, no sin.
That's horrific. I'll be back. Continue.
Well, yeah, and the logistics of that is going to be bountiful, but fate has it played out differently. But we'll continue with that. I did start to get a decent amount of leeway, progression with the Phoenix and with the Lion. With the Phoenix clan, I talked to one of their courtiers, and I was able to. No, I'd spoken to someone else lower, and I was able to get a private audience with the courtier main guy with the Phoenix. And I was invited to dinner. I was finally cleaned up and washed properly, fully, after a very long time of being in the middle of nowhere. And I was able to have a dinner with that NPC character, and I was able to convince him to give me a letter for the Winter Court to be a guest there, because it's by invitation only. I was able to get an invitation from him thanks to my role playing of telling him a story of my past ventures.
So, as a quick aside, the Winter Court is the annual convention where, like, the emperor goes and resides in, a family's house that changes every year, and that's where the majority of the politics in Rokugan are done. So, it's a very important thing and very impactful in a political scene to be invited to the Winter Court.
Were you invited or did you crash?
I managed to get an invite for that Winter Court because I was able to tell a very good story of my Genpoku to that character at the time.
You got a backstage pass. You're like, look, I don't mean to.
Yeah,
Look, just come here. I just want to let you know. I have front row tickets to my chemical romance. I will trade them to you for a Winter Court invite. I believe in the reunion tour. All right, cool. So you did your power play, you got your invite, you got your ticket, your hand was stamped, you were going into the club, you're like, Winter Court.
So then I started to go to the Lion Clan. And I tried to get one of the Lions courtiers a dinner.
Hold up. We should reference the Lion Clan. I would, except I want to talk in more because words. Formal.
Go ahead.
Go.
Okay, so the Lion Clan is what's known as the right hand of the Empire, and they are known for putting their honor above all other values. And in D&D terms, they would be the most akin to a paladin on the surface, where like everything they do is honorable and for this just cause. And they are probably also the largest martial force in Rokugan because they dedicate themselves to war in case of any attack in Rokugan whatsoever.
So I know I said I didn't want to talk anymore, but I do want to stress how important that is. There are 3 scores that are vital in this game. Every score is vital, but there are 3 that are really big. Honor, status, and glory. Depending on your actions, these scores will go up or down. And there is a ranking chart for all of this in the player's handbook. But here's the thing. Lion are so famous for their pristine honor that this has happened in history in the world of Rokugan and can happen at any time. The lowest ranking lion samurai, but with a massive amount of honor, can literally walk into any court anywhere in this nobility set, with the exception of the Imperial, because you need invites. But any other court, just walk on in, look right at the daimyo, look at everybody else, point at the daimyo, go, that guy's a fucking piece of shit, and walk out. And everyone in that court will go, oh my God, the daimyo is a giant piece of shit. And poems will begin to be written. Stories and songs will begin to be written because a lion has said it. And when a lion says it, it is ironclad. Lion never say the words, I promise. They simply make their statement. And it is true. That's how powerful honor can be in this game. Sorry? Please continue.
So I started to go to make negotiations with the Lion Clan, and I started with an Akodo. But before I got the chance to have dinner with him, I had I did like a little filler, like a little errand. I did a little errand prior to meeting this Lion Samurai. Okay. I gave him a box that was supposed to be given to him prior to his duel that he was going to have with the Miramoto I awkwardly spoke to before. And I gave him the gift, and he didn't open it in front of me, right?
No, he didn't open it in front of you. It was something he opened up later because you were delivering it for someone else.
Yeah, I was just being a delivery boy to get a boon from the unicorn. I got a little talisman, and I did some research at the library at the time. I do a lot of things. Some of them matter, some of them don't. They'll come up if they mattered. After the next day, after I gave him the lion the item I was told to deliver, he had the duel against the Miramoto dragon duelist, and the lion samurai died in that duel because they were fighting over the same love interest.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
I found out after the duel that what I delivered to him was a broken...
Don't say poison. Please don't say poison.
it was a broken katana handle, I believe.
Oh, no! So you gave the lion the shitty katana that killed him.
No, it was a broken katana sent to him as a bad omen.
And we are back, but unfortunately, we are strangely out of time. This has been a very deep dive, and I am honestly overjoyed to hear the rest of this story. This is riveting.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, I'm excited to get into it. The next part where you guys hear about how the wildfire Kuni got thrown into Imperial jail.
Wait, what?
Do not pesco.
And that's where you cut it.
Do not collect any
All
jade.
right, so once again from here at the Arcadia Bridge, my name is Bane Harlock. I'd like to thank all of my guests for joining us tonight for this celebration. Tell them who you are and where they can find you.
I'm Formal for Seven Tails Productions.
Okay, me now. Sorry. Hi, I'm Evil Joe with Gamers Galaxy, and this is my scotch, so you understand.
We wouldn't dare to insult you, good folks, with a with a scripted show.
Right?
I'm Grand Inquisitor. You can find me at Scorned Cosplay or Scorned Gaming on Twitch.
My name is Salvador. I go by as Issei on Discord. I'm a player character.
He's the player.
He's the player.
All right, so we will be back next week, same time, same place, with part 2 of this campaign wrap up. And once again, from the Arcadia Bridge, I'd like to thank you all for being a part of our story.